The truth about Tiananmen Square protests. We want freedom, not fear, shouted a young protester, capturing the essence of the movement. Her voice echoed through Tiananmen Square, a historic site of both cultural pride and political significance. Tiananmen Square has long been a symbol of Chinese heritage. It has witnessed numerous pivotal events, including the declaration of the People's Republic of China in 1949 and the Cultural Revolution. In the 1980s, China saw economic reforms but limited political freedom. The restrictive political atmosphere, combined with corruption and inflation, fueled widespread discontent among the populace, especially young intellectuals. Amidst this backdrop, university students spearheaded a movement calling for democratic reforms. Their aspirations for greater political participation and transparency resonated with a larger segment of the Chinese population, igniting hope. Initial gatherings in Tiananmen Square were peaceful. Thousands of students engaged in sit-ins and hunger strikes, emphasizing nonviolence. Their unity and determination exemplified their commitment to achieving democratic change without showing aggression. The protesters demanded freedom of speech and political reform, seeking an end to corruption and advocating for greater transparency. Their calls resonated with many, reflecting widespread discontent with the government's authoritarian rule. Beijing universities played a crucial role in organizing and mobilizing students. These institutions became hotbeds of political activism, with student leaders coordinating efforts to ensure the movement's message reached a broader audience. International media coverage amplified global awareness of the protests. Journalists from around the world reported on the unfolding events, broadcasting images and stories that highlighted the protesters' courage and the Chinese government's oppressive tactics. The government initially attempted to negotiate and engage in dialogue with the protesters. Officials sought to address some demands while maintaining control, but these efforts were largely seen as insincere and ineffective by the demonstrators. The protest grew rapidly, drawing increasing numbers and support from various sectors of society. Workers, intellectuals, and ordinary citizens joined the students, transforming the movement into a powerful symbol of unity and resistance against oppression. The Goddess of Democracy statue became an iconic symbol of the movement, representing hope and resilience. Crafted by art students, it stood as a powerful emblem of the quest for freedom. Tensions escalated as the government declared martial law. Troops and tanks were deployed to Beijing, signaling a drastic shift from negotiation to force. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense and fearful. On the night of June 3 to 4, 1989, chaos erupted. The military moved into Tiananmen Square, opening fire on protesters. The once peaceful demonstration turned into a tragic and bloody confrontation. Eyewitness accounts from that night are harrowing. Protesters and bystanders alike faced violence. Personal stories of bravery and loss emerged, painting a vivid picture of the human cost of the crackdown. The immediate aftermath was marked by arrests, censorship, and the government's attempt to control the narrative. Many protesters were detained, and information about the events was heavily suppressed. In the immediate aftermath of the Tiananmen Square crackdown, the Chinese government swiftly moved to arrest protest leaders and participants. A tight lid of censorship was imposed, controlling the narrative. Long-term consequences for Chinese society included a chilling effect on political activism. Many citizens became wary of openly discussing politics, fearing repercussions. The government maintained strict control over dissent. Globally, reactions to the crackdown were strong, with many countries imposing sanctions on China. International condemnations highlighted the human rights abuses, straining China's diplomatic relations for years to come. Reflecting on the legacy of the Tiananmen Square protests, it remains a symbol of the struggle for democratic freedoms. The courage of the protesters continues to inspire advocates for human rights worldwide. We encourage you to share this story and advocate for human rights. By keeping the memory alive, we honor those who fought for freedom and strive for a more just world. Thanks a million for watching this video.